Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly kind of troubling modern paradox. We're looking at why, in an age where we are literally hyper-connected all the time, so many of us are feeling profoundly isolated. We've gathered some truly incredible sources to break this whole thing down, and we're going to look at it from the massive global scale all the way down to our own internal personal worlds.
It's the ultimate question, isn't it? Why are we the most connected generation in human history, yet simultaneously the most isolated? Well, today we are going on a deep dive to answer exactly that. Based on our source material, we're going to explore the socio-political, technological, and even the spiritual roots of this crisis. Because, it's really not just about spending too much time on our phones. It's about how our world is actually built, how we interact, and ultimately, how we view ourselves. Okay, let's jump right into part 1, the macro lens, a global epidemic.
To put this into perspective, let's look at some really staggering statistics from our sources. Right now, in the United States, 3 out of 5 adults report feeling lonely. Think about that for a second. That is literally more than half the people you pass on the street on any given day.
And hey, this isn't just an American issue, not at all. Over in Germany, 2 out of 3 people consider loneliness a serious problem. The sources also highlight similar trends in the Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, Argentina, you name it. This clearly establishes some very real global stakes for us.
To make sense of all this, we turn to economist Nerina Hertz. She defines our current era as the century of loneliness. And what she makes abundantly clear is that this was a full-blown epidemic long before the COVID-19 pandemic ever hit. She argues that modern loneliness is actually an existential state. It's not just about lacking friends. It encompasses the personal, the social, and even the economic realms. It's really about feeling invisible, completely disconnected from society itself.
Hertz traces the roots of this all the way back to the 1980s. She actually cites this famous 1981 quote from Margaret Thatcher, who said, "The economy is the method, the object is to change the heart and soul." Now, Hertz argues that the rise of neoliberal capitalism during this time idealized extreme autonomy. According to her analysis, this system placed personal interest above the common good, ultimately changing the heart and soul of people by turning extreme competitiveness and selfishness into perceived virtues. And this, she argues, leaves those who struggle feeling entirely abandoned.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this mindset manifests in the actual physical world around us. We have this architecture of exclusion. Urbanization has actively engineered our cities to keep people apart. You know those public benches designed with armrests right smack in the middle to prevent the homeless from lying down? Well, Hertz points out that this exact same design inadvertently stops neighbors from comfortably sitting, gathering, and interacting with each other. We are literally building a life without contact, where physical isolation is treated as an urban virtue.
Let's see how this builds into the political sphere. Hertz, referencing the philosopher Hannah Arendt, argues that there are massive political consequences to this isolation. The sources suggest that when individuals feel invisible, excluded, and completely abandoned by the state, they naturally seek a sense of identity and solidarity elsewhere. Specifically, Hertz posits that this structural loneliness is a primary driver for extreme right-wing populism, where excluded individuals find belonging in groups whose identity is based on exclusively excluding others.
Moving right along, let's look at part 2, the mesolens, the trap of networks. Here we bring in the perspective of the late sociologist Zygmunt Bauman. Bauman argues that modern technology, specifically social media, offers a highly deceptive substitute for true human connection. Like, we feel like we're socializing, right? But we're actually caught in a trap that completely fails to teach us real functional social skills.
Bauman makes this really critical distinction between a community and a network. You belong to a community. It has friction. You have to learn to interact sensibly, to tolerate differences, maybe resolve some conflicts. A network, on the other hand, well, that belongs to you. You are in total control. If you don't like someone, you simply delete or block them, just like that. This network gives us a false sense of security against abandonment, but it keeps us in a comfortable little echo chamber of our own voices, avoiding the exact controversy required for real dialogue.
Furthermore, the sources highlight a subtle but massive shift in human behavior. Digital connection often replaces doing things together, what sociologists call shared practice, with merely talking about it. When we lose shared physical context, working, eating, or just existing in the same room, we lose the jostle and negotiation of real life. So our social life becomes significantly shallower when it's entirely screen-mediated.
Which brings us to part 3, the microlens, the spiritual vacuum.
For this, we turn to the profound teachings of the late Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. He perfectly encapsulated the illusion of digital connection with this incredibly simple phrase: we are lonely together. We are surrounded by people, constantly pinging each other, and yet we're completely isolated.
Thich Nhat Hanh uses this wonderfully evocative metaphor of the self as a home. He observes that there is an internal vacuum inside many of us, and honestly, we are deeply uncomfortable with it. Because we've abandoned our internal selves for so long, our home has become a total mess of anxiety and sadness. So instead of cleaning it up, we try to fill that internal vacuum with external stimuli. We check our phones hundreds of times a day simply to avoid facing the messy reality inside our own minds.
He points out a stark physical reality of our digital lives, too. Spending hours staring at computers and phones causes people to forget entirely that they even have a body. And Thich Nhat Hanh argues that without being present in your own body, you cannot truly be alive. And if you aren't alive in your own body, you certainly cannot form a real connection with anyone else.
Okay, let's shift gears to part 4, the expansion, healing, and the collective home.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. The solution doesn't require an app or some fancy new device. Thich Nhat Hanh suggests a true revolution lies in simply returning to the island of self through mindfulness. It is the radical act of just stopping the constant state of losing yourself to external distractions. And he offers highly actionable steps for this internal healing. First up, mindful sitting. Literally just sitting down is a revolutionary act that stops the noise. Second, connecting with the body and breath. Using your breath to anchor you to the here and now, realizing your body is an absolute wonder. And third, embracing loneliness with tenderness. Let's look a little closer at that last one.
Instead of fleeing from the pain of isolation by instantly grabbing our phones, Thich Nhat Hanh teaches us to smile at it. He suggests treating our loneliness like a wounded child. By saying, "My dear loneliness, I know you are there. I am here to take care of you." You make peace with your fear. You literally become the caretaker of your own internal home.
And this brings our entire narrative arc full circle. The rule is, the way out is in. You simply cannot connect with another person if you are fundamentally disconnected from yourself. But once you find safety and fulfillment within your own internal island, you become a home. And when two people who have found their own internal homes come together, they build what he calls a collective home. That, according to our sources, is the true foundation for actually healing our society.
Real quick, I want to give a massive thank you to the incredible sources that made this explainer possible. We explored the socio-political realities laid out by Narina Hertz in her work on the Century of Loneliness. We looked at the brilliant sociological distinctions of networks versus communities from an interview with Zygmunt Bauman, and we found spiritual grounding through the timeless teachings of Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh on the illusion of connection.
We've seen how our cities, our economies, and our technologies are often built to keep us superficially connected, but fundamentally apart. But the power to change that, it starts quietly, right inside you. So I'll leave you with this. In a world built for networks, are you ready to become a home for yourself? Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.
Getting to the heart of the matter isn't always easy, but here we always look for the essence. Thank you for your time and your curiosity. Subscribe for more answers, and as always, thanks for watching.